Welcome, Chala, to the show. I'm excited to have you on. You're doing some fascinating things for all types of companies, but even companies like mine. So this should be particularly interesting. Why don't you let the audience know a little bit about your background and what you're doing today?
So David, I'm an elevator pitch coach, and for 18 years, I worked for large companies like Pepsi, Pizza Hut, Frito Lay. I don't know, did you ever work in corporations?
None of the large ones, none of the super large ones. So, a few hundred employees, but never up to the thousands of employees.
So I spent 18 years, and maybe you did too, saying no thank you to every supplier that ever came to pitch to me. And so I learned what not to say and what to say to get in to the corporate, buyer's office, because I purchase services. So that's what I do now. I teach companies like ours, small guys, to sell to other businesses, and I fix what they're saying and what they're doing in their marketing and their messaging so that they'll always be able to get in, not just to the meeting, but then actually be able to close a sale.
That's super important. It's kind of funny. Two things struck me. One was that elevator pitch, and nobody's on an elevator anymore because we're not supposed to be with anybody, right? But and then the second thing was that just how many even leaders that are visionary really don't do a good job of that. You have that, 5-second opportunity or whatever to connect with someone. And like I serve a lot of IT service providers, and people ask them, what do you do? Oh, well, we provide outsourced IT services for companies. And the other person is like, yeah, okay, whatever. So
that's exactly what I do. So to your point, one of my best success stories is an IT company. And so they came to me because people's eyes would roll to the back of their heads when they said, I do IT. And they're like, oh God, not another one. So what we did is, and what I teach is how to uncover what's called a super niche. That's a market gap that they can serve. And we discover it through research, and then to position themselves on that super niche and then to do their marketing. So this IT company, when we did the research, they found out that their super niche should be helping healthcare call centers reduce the wait time, because people are literally like hanging up and dying, or they're just waiting. They're dying on, on the phone. That's like an extreme example, but that's exactly what the problem was. And so they didn't have to hire anyone new. They didn't have to do anything else. They didn't have to buy anything. They already had the capability to help them. And they sold it to an existing customer, but it was a different service. So they made 805, almost $1 million within a couple of months with that super niche. And all they had to do was figure that out with the research, with my help, and then to put up a splash page, like a landing page, and send out one email. And that's it. And most of the transactions they did were like, they told people who they were already talking to, their clients, on the phone. They said, hey, we've got this new thing. Are you interested? That's how I help reposition. That's the name of the company, is Repositioner. So that's how I help people reposition what they're doing, which is why, I fix people's elevator pitches with respect to making it a hook. So an elevator pitch should not be about what you do. It should not be a laundry list of all the people you help and all the things that you do. Not at all. It should be about the super niche and how you can help people in that niche. And that's it.
Awesome. The timing is impeccable on this. 2 days ago, I was talking with one of my best clients. They've been in business over 30 years. And I said to him, Peter, going into next year, you really need to be thinking about changing how you're positioning your company, because you talk too much tech. You need to connect, just like what you said. You don't have to hire new people to do new things, but you need to talk about it differently. And we started to peel back that onion a little bit, but I'm definitely going to refer him to this podcast.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. Changes everything, because how you describe what you do, one, should never be about you, because 70% of human beings buy to address a problem. If they're not in pain, there's no sale. So is the problem about you or them. It's about them. It has to be their problem. So if you're not talking when you open your mouth, as soon as they say, what is it that you do? And I've written a book called How to Make Anyone Like You in 7 Seconds or Less.
There we go.
It was the topic of my latest TV tour. So in 7 seconds or less, you open your mouth, you've already lost them, right? If you're talking about yourself. But if the first thing you say is about their problem, they're biologically and genetically functioning to look for danger. Like they're programmed to look for danger. So when you're opening your mouth and talking about danger to them, their pain, they're going to be hooked into not only giving you their attention, but giving you a meeting.
Yeah. And I want to speak out to the skeptics and the analyticals in the audience that the term elevator pitch or liking you in 7 seconds, and I know you're going to get to this, Chala, is this is not selling really. This is about relationships. This is about connecting with the other person. And so don't get turned off by those particular, names of what Chala does. I'm sure based on what I've read of you and the stuff that I saw in an overview of your book, that this is really about connecting with the person so you're developing a relationship. There's nothing insincere about what you're saying. Am I right?
Well, it's about them and their problems. How could that be about you? It's about them. All you want to talk about is about them and how to help their problems. And, David, I've done so much work on myself because I came from an immigrant background that was completely suspicious of anybody trying to sell anything, completely suspicious of spending money or being tricked into spending money and not spending more than what you have. All of those limiting beliefs and mindsets were keeping me from moving forward in my business. I couldn't sell. I couldn't pick up the phone. I couldn't even close a sale. I was like shaking in my boots because of all these beliefs that were handed down from my immigrant parents from a developing country with a name like Chala. So what I've learned is that if people are still in that suspicious of sales mentality, I can't help them. Like I can't help them. They need to do the work with other coaches who would do work with the kind of coaches that I did work with around moving over that mindset of selling is hurting people or trying to trick people or selling is bad. So, and in fact, now I reach out to people cold on LinkedIn. I don't know if you do that, but that's, I'm a huge social seller now because of thanks to COVID. And some people don't even, they're like, yes to the connection, but if you're not selling anything. And to me, that's like, how do you even know if you need what I'm selling? What if it's the thing that you've been looking for that's going to change your entire life? How could you even say that? But I totally get why you had to have that caveat because that's how some people think. But I can't help those people because if they are like how I was, I couldn't see anything. I couldn't hire anyone to help me. I was so suspicious. I was completely paralyzed in selling myself because I had that horrible belief around sales. So now I believe that selling is helping people because if they need it, then they'll call you.
That's right. That's right. It's having a sincere interest in trying to help them. And if that's a struggle for you, not for you specifically, but then at least focus on that you like to solve problems and you can solve their particular problem. So you can do that sincerely and engage based on that.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, if you own a business and you have that mindset, you will never grow past a certain level. And I was literally, lived that myself until I was able to break through that conditioning. My income did not move a single inch. And then I overnight quadrupled my income once I was able to, cut through that barrier. But it took a lot of coaching. Let me tell you, it took giving someone like over $100,000 to help me get over that mindset.
Interesting. I found that the people that I engage with that I like that do the LinkedIn thing, because LinkedIn now the connections are 99% just for sales. And the people that I like is they ask to connect and they'll say, hey, like to connect. And then either initially or with the autoresponder they do afterwards, they'll say, here's what I do. If that's a need you have, great, let's talk. Maybe you know somebody, or if not, what exactly do you do so I can keep an eye out for you. And I tell you, I get very, very few that do both sides of that spectrum. Most will just try to pitch something and they don't, and it's like, boom. And okay, that doesn't really work necessarily. Others will do the pitch with the soft thing of, you know, if this works for you, great. Maybe you know somebody. So, and that's better. But the best I've seen from my perspective, at least what I would like to receive, is to say, and what do you do? And I'll keep an eye out for you. And those seem to be the super connectors that I see, because they're making it a two-way street.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's all about as custom as you can get on such a anonymous, you know, billion plus person platform, but it's also about them. What can you deliver that's about them? And when you're super niched, you already have developed your content, your message, and your solution to that very, very laser focused group. And so when you're looking for them, it's easier. And then you're speaking their language, you're talking about their pain, and the majority of them, and you would never pick it as a super niche if the majority of them weren't in that pain. So that's why it works so well for us to connect to our super niche of clients to ask them about. So like we're doing a campaign to fill seats in this event called, you know, uncover your super niche and stop twinning your competition and 10x your close rates. And who we're targeting are coaches and consultants, because they are literally twinning each other in their messaging, in their approach. When I speak at the Coach Federation and I ask the audience to stand up if they're a leadership coach, half the audience stands up. There's no differentiation. And you can tell because their income median is $20,000 a year. So that's what happens when you're not differentiated. You don't get paid enough. But yet when you're addressing the gap in the market and you're the only person who does what you do, like my IT client, who else is pitching reducing call wait times for healthcare? Nobody. And it's a huge gap and it's a huge need. It's for them, for one time, it was $1 million gap. So that's why it works when it doesn't matter if you're doing an elevator pitch or you're doing a direct message, or if you're just talking to people at a networking event. It has to be super niched.
So here you've got our audience, and they're like a large LinkedIn audience. And so if you were to communicate with them now, what would be your elevator pitch to them, many of whom could have a better elevator pitch or short connection with somebody? How would you introduce yourself or start off with them?
And this is what I'm going to offer to do for you is I'm going to polish your pitch. Okay. But here's mine. Did you know that 4 out of 5 business owners never get asked for their business card, their information, or a meeting after they introduce themselves to a prospect? Well, what I do is I fix what they're saying so that every hello turns into a meeting. That's it. Mic drop. But so, and the reason for that is because I'll break it down for you. The formula is I'm very specific about who I'm talking to, right? Business owners. I've given a statistic around the pain to scope it so that they don't feel like they're the only person who's not getting that result. My opener is about their pain. They never get asked for their information after they present themselves or introduce themselves. And then the result, and what I do is I fix what they're saying, their messaging. And then the result is that they actually get meetings, which is the one problem.
And how long does this typically take for you to work with them?
To polish the pitch, my podcast, we do it in 5 minutes. We're going to do it in 5 minutes today, but it's not based on research. So if you're asking about how long it takes when we're working with a client to do the full research to figure out that market gap of the super niche, it can take from 2 to 4 weeks. And it depends on the speed at which the client moves. And so some of them, they get it done. They get the research done in 2 weeks. Most of them have a full business and, they're running multi-million-dollar businesses. So it takes them about 4 weeks. And so then they bring back the research. We figure out what is the super niche, what is the messaging around the super niche, and what marketing plan needs to be around that super niche so that we can get them more business in the door using that super niche right away. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And the nice thing is it's not, oh, it takes 6 months to 12 months type of thing. It's like, if you get moving and you can come back with the research in a couple of weeks or even 4 weeks, then within 2 months, you're going to be able to communicate much more effectively and drastically impact your revenue, which everybody needs right now. I mean, this is a challenging time.
That's right. For sure. I mean, for them, it was an incremental revenue stream, right? Like you can take and pivot into the super niche for your entire business, or you can just have your base of business and use it as just an incremental, just an additional thing that you do, like a product. Why not?
No, makes perfect sense. So you're going to use me as a guinea pig? Is that what you're going to do?
Go for it. Go for it.
So one of the things that we offer is Charm School, Dave's Charm School. So this is soft skills training. And so our clients and our market, our entrepreneurs, their employees, particularly the technical ones, are very well trained in hard skills. So they have certifications, they have, certain talents and skills and experience. Where they're lacking is in the soft skills part. And that's communication, it's setting and achieving goals, managing their time, interpersonal skills, teamwork, etc. There's upwards of 25 or more that you can focus on. So we have courses that they can go through individually or as a group. And they basically, as I say, existing employees can do it as individuals or a group. You can use it as part of your onboarding process for new employees. So they get some soft skills training before they're starting, or you can use it in a performance improvement plan where somebody's not doing well in a certain area, like they don't have empathy or they lack some character or they're not setting and achieving goals well or managing their time well, and they can be assigned some of these courses as part of the performance improvement plan.
Okay.
So
give me your 30-second elevator pitch if I was the CEO of a tech company.
Well, and I don't do well with this one. I do well with some of the other ones in our leadership or hiring stuff. But with this one, it would be, do you have employees that sometimes don't work well with their fellow employees or, offend clients or don't communicate well enough with clients? And so there's problems that occur that don't need to occur. So I actually start with a question.
Yes. So, but I'm not referring to if you're one-on-one, like let's say you're in a networking Zoom call and it's one-to-many and you have to yourself. So that's why an elevator pitch is like, otherwise you would consultative sell one-to-one with questions, right? You would, and that's great. That's a great thought starter, right? But what would be your platform sort of pitch? Because the platform pitch is important it's going to be the message on your website where you don't have that one-to-one, like it's going to be the message for the one-to-many if you're standing, in front of a Zoom room. So tell me what that would look like.
I would probably look like more, and now I'm thinking we're not doing very well in this area. So I'm thinking, okay, so it would probably be more like, you have employees that are technically competent, they do a reasonably good job, or they're superstars, and yet they have some soft skill issues that are causing problems with their peers, with management, or with clients, and you would really like to get those resolved. Excuse me, I did that wrong. I did it as a question again. So I'll try again. Run back the reel.
No, it wasn't a question. You said you have. So that was okay.
Okay.
You said you have, some tech superstars who have these problems. And what we do is we
offer training that can be done individually as a group for them to learn new habits, new ways to behave. So these weaknesses no longer hold them back, and they can also build on the strengths of their soft skills that can actually eliminate some of the weaknesses by focusing on the strengths.
Okay, awesome. May I polish this?
Oh yeah, take free reign, no problem.
Okay, all right. So it's pretty good, but I'm just going to tighten it if it's okay.
I think it was pretty weak, but yeah, I appreciate your grace.
Okay. So I like that you're talking. You know who you're talking about, but I'm going to elevate it a little bit because the person that you're talking to is the CEO, correct? Or the HR director. Who's your target?
It's usually an owner or a manager who's managing people, but it's going to be a decision maker who it does. The courses don't cost that much. It's a monthly subscription. First 30 days are free. So this is somebody who can make a decision and basically make a quick decision because the first 30 days don't cost anything anyway.
So it would be usually the business owner in your experience?
Well, it might be a manager, somebody who's managing a team of 5 to 30 people.
Okay. So then I want to ask you, what is the manager's problem, right? What is the manager's problem? Is it that they're losing clients because of, lack of communication skills in their team?
I would say that there are three common problems. One is
Give me the most expensive most expensive one and the most common one.
I think that the most expensive, the most common, the most general one is that the employee's misbehavior is wasting time of the manager because they have to clean up the mess.
Wasting manager time, which misbehavior, and then what is the consequence?
Well, the consequence is the manager can't focus on things that have higher return.
And what is the consequence of that?
Well, those things don't get done. So revenue stalls.
Okay.
Or, revenue stalls and profitability drops.
Okay. So is the bigger problem profitability or revenue? Profitability, isn't it?
Yes, I would say profitability would come before revenue because you need to get the profitability straightened out before you grow the revenue. Versus if you're just growing the revenue and you're still dysfunctional, then you're not maximizing the opportunity.
Yeah, it's true, right? So the top line may have remained unchanged, but because it's costing more time of the management is costing more time, then the profitability is tanking. Okay, so here's how I would reframe this entirely. We would put a statistic around it. Could you think of how many, let's say out of 10 or what percent, let's say 70% are experiencing this of IT technical managers? How prevalent is this?
I could probably find a statistic, but I would say that the issue is 90% or above are experiencing this to some degree. And I would say that as many as 60% are experiencing it to a significant degree with one or more employees.
Okay. So I would love it if we could turn it into missing a profitability target. Okay. So then like 3 out of 4 or 90% or what you said 60% for sure are missing their targets. So find out, or you don't even have to find a statistic. You go and talk to 10 of your clients before they hired you and ask them, or just actual, technical managers in IT companies and ask them how many of you are right now that you're not working with, how many are you missing your profitability targets? So let's say it's 7 out of 10, then that becomes, you can footnote it by saying that's my, anecdotal personal interviews, October 2020. So then what your door opener, your statement, your elevator pitch becomes is, did you know that 70% of technical managers in IT companies are not meeting their profitability targets because of their employees' misbehavior, which then causes them to have to spend more time cleaning up their mess. What we do is we give training and coaching and whatever else you do so that that never happens again, so that every profitability target is met. Does that make sense?
That's much better. That's much better. And the other thing, which would probably confuse the message, so it may be something to keep in the back pocket, is some of these people, or a lot of these entrepreneurs, their profitability target is too low because they're dysfunctional in their leadership, and they've come to just accept the fact that their employees cannot do any better. Or even if they're not formally accepting it, it's kind of like the parent that's allowing the bad behavior of the children, thinking that they just can't do any better type of thing, which is not true.
That's a whole other problem. Do you help with that as well? That the target is too low?
Yeah.
I mean, so you tell them, or you
it's not my charm school course that does that, but that would be more the coaching side.
Okay, yeah.
So it's different. Yeah.
That's a different business. That's a different problem. So that's why I love the brand Charm School. I love it. But it's really more of a profitability school, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that would be a great hook, particularly in these times, in these economic, challenging times.
Like the way that when you first came to me, you called it's called Charm School. It's branded that way, and the way you introduced it is misbehavior. But what it is it's mismanagement of misbehavior that causes low profitability. So it really is about the profitability, and then you get to the profitability story by first of all, you hook them in with the pain, which is the low profitability, because these guys, they're not aware of. You can't sell people. I mean, it takes a really long time to educate people into a problem they don't even know they have, right? So if they're not aware and haven't done the diagnostics or haven't had consultants like you, they're not going to know that the misbehavior is causing them to spend, like on some level they do, but they don't necessarily, they're not Googling for help. How do I, correct misbehavior that wastes my time? They're more Googling about how do I fix the profitability?
Yeah.
You see the difference. So then when your super niche and all of your messaging is tied to their actual pain that they're bleeding and looking for, screaming for help with, then you get more engagement.
No, it makes perfect sense. And once again, makes even more sense during this economic time where they may look at, I can't increase my top line revenue. So how do I increase the profitability with what I've got? And they have to make some tough decisions there. They may not want to change staff or change culture or do things. So how do I just simply do one thing, which is make each person in my organization more profitable?
Yeah. And the messaging, especially now, they may never be looking to spend money on fixing behavior during a crisis, but they're absolutely going to be spending money on fixing profitability. But what you're doing is the how, right? You don't need to get into the how. It's like when you have a heart attack and the surgeon says, I'm going to operate on you. You don't care how they do it. You just want them to save your life. And it's the same thing. And when, the profits are tanking, they're in danger of going under. And when you come to them and say, I fix profits, it's the profit school, the profitability school, or fix your profit school, whatever, rather than the charm. So do you see how the charm is so much less relevant than the profitability right now?
Yeah. Are you saying I should change the name to a profitability school? Or
I would do some research instead of me just giving you off the cuff 5-minute kind of, like there's a lot of money riding on this. I'm hoping that, that business makes at least 6-7 figures. I don't know. But if there is 6 figures at least riding on it, I would take the time and figure out strategically why, what will work and whether there is an appetite. Like we're just guessing right now. So that's why, I work for large corporations. I'd be fired if I were to give advice and, implement the brand strategy accordingly. So that's why I would always say, do the strategic work to figure out if that is the right target and the right message and the right super niche. Like, what is the gap right now? We don't know.
It's really interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. I met with a client yesterday, and it was not Charm School, but it was similar. A lot of the conversation was about behaviors of their employees. And as I walked out of their office, I thought, they're going to see at minimum 100-time return on what they just spent for my time. And they may see 1,000-time return over the next year, and I'm sure you see this in your work. If this is such a critical piece, just as I was telling my client 2 days ago, what you do, because if you can't make that connection. And let me put it from a different perspective that you've alluded to. But if you go out and you do networking events or you do whatever, and you meet 100 people and that results in, let's say, 5 conversations and you close 1 or 2 of those, look at the ratio. Whereas if they can tighten it up to do what you're saying, and those 100 conversations or 100 meetings result in 32 conversations, and that results in 15 contracts,
Yeah.
It's a totally different game. And also, I would assume you didn't mention this, but do you find also that when people really zero in on this, what did you call it? An ultra niche or
Super niche. Yeah.
a super niche, that then it also peels away and eliminates people that will waste your time because they're not really fit. They're not really a good fit for what your services can do and where you can maximize profitability. Am I
Yeah.
hearing you right?
Yeah. It clarifies everything. It clarifies it for you and for the prospect so that they know, if, do I have that pain? Am I that person? No, I'm not that person. And I don't have that pain. So goodbye. Right. And
Yeah.
then you have to waste your time. I'm hired to do elevator pitch analyses. Like I'm hired to coach elevator pitch contests and like bids. So, and recently a huge, I can't say the name, but a huge consumer packaged goods company, one that I haven't worked with, hired me. I'm just going to say they have a diaper brand that's very famous. So they had 10 vendors pitching to them on Zoom, one by one, to 7 of their buyers. And I was in the room, and they paid me to give the vendors feedback. And I'll tell you what, and I saw what questions, what got their interest, what got the buyer's interest, and what got them to ask more questions and to want to meet again. And I'll tell you, it's exactly what I've been teaching. I was so vindicated. I was like, yes, I've known this and I know this because I was in their shoes. So the people who didn't listen to my pre-training, which we had a short pre-training, I said, for the love of God, please don't be generic. Don't laundry list all your services and don't laundry list all the industries you work with. Figure out what their problem is, what product or whatever problem they have around what product or brand that you can help with one specialty, not all of them. Use this, whatever 10 minutes you have, to hook them into figuring out where you fit in. Because, I mean, this is a huge global, you know, like multi-billion-dollar brand. So the woman, and this was one woman who was a business owner who was presenting. She was from Colombia. She didn't even speak English, David. And she got the most questions. She got the most interest. She got the most airtime. And the reason for that is because she listened to me. What she did is she screen shared and she put up a picture of the diaper brand on her country's Amazon. It's kind of like their Amazon. It's not Amazon. And then she showed why it wouldn't sell as good as another brand that she helps with, because it didn't have the descriptors. It didn't have multiple pictures. It didn't have all these campaigns that go with it. That's what she said she does for a living. Now, she's a full service marketing agency. She could have said she did what all the other ladies said, right? They said, we do video and we do this and we do blogging, and we do everything. So that's what I'm saying. She didn't even have to speak English because she listened to me around what is their problem, what is their pain, and that you can help with that. You're specifically specialized enough because she's in that market. So does that make sense? It totally validates what you said about being way more focused to get so much more conversion.
Well, that's right. And she, with very little research, she was able to come up with photos or pictures, whatever, screenshots that gave a story.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, I do all these services. It was, this is where you are today. And this is what I do for this person, which basically explains the services, but to put some meat on the bone. Okay. So they could picture it. They're like, oh, we're missing all that. Oh, that. So it's so clear. So I could talk to you all day about these examples. So what I want to do, because I know everybody's interested right now, please, you're going to send me some links that I'm going to put in the description. I want to encourage our entire audience, so it's obviously not all will do it, but to get a hold of you, to check out what you're doing, maybe attend your next event so they can learn more. I mean, this has a huge payback for everybody. And really, people need to do this. This is a no-brainer, particularly during this time. It can't be that it's cost too much, because the return has to be so quick on what you're talking about. You mentioned there was like almost an $805,000 return in 2 months for one tech company. This is just a no-brainer. So how do they learn more about you? We're going to put it in the information anyway. If you're listening right now, check it out online when we post the podcast here. But how do they learn more about you, Chala, and what you're, how do we get engaged with you?
Yeah, I'd love to give a gift for people who are listening. Go to the website is called repositioner.com/gift. And the book that I've written is called Gentle Marketing, How to Have People Chase You Instead of You Chasing Them. So, click there to download. And then also, if you're interested in working with me, there is a contact form or a link where you have access to my calendar. So go ahead and click on that, and then pick a slot, and we'll hop on a Zoom call together, and we will brainstorm ideas on how your super niche can be uncovered quickly and what that could look like.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm an idea guy, so I could keep talking. I'm thinking of all these other clients where, how would you handle this person? How would you handle that person? But they need to contact you directly, and I hope they do.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, David. This was fun.